5:06 coming up on 5:07 here on TSN 690. It's Game Points. I'm your host, Matthew Ross. We're here till 6 o'clock. The Irish Embassy Habs pregame show coming up at the top of the hour. Looking forward to that. But right now we're going to talk a little MLB with our next guest. He is a national reporter with MLB.com. You can follow him as well on Twitter.com/Boomski, Boomskie. It is Barry Bloom. Hey, Barry, how you doing?
Hey, Matthew, how's everything?
Very well, thanks. Glad to have you on. And Barry, you always like to make an entrance. It seems that you brought a no-hitter with you today.
Well, at a 6-game winning streak by the Blue Jays, and it looks like a 10-game losing streak by the Red Sox.
Yeah.
So we got a lot of things going on here today. Padres and Cubs, one of the worst games in the league today. Okay.
Lots to talk about indeed. First, the Beckett no-hitter. It seems like he had started to turn the corner and pitch pretty well for the Dodgers. What does this mean for that staff if he can pitch like this?
Well, I mean, really, if Kershaw and Rue are healthy, and then you have Heron down at the back end of it, they've got as deep a rotation as there is in the National League and maybe all of baseball at this point. So, obviously, it means a lot to have Beckett throwing like that again.
All right, elsewhere, you mentioned the Blue Jays. They won. We carried the game here on TSN 690 today, this time over the A's. They've swept the A's, and obviously a pretty darn good opponent to sweep. Are you a believer in what they've accomplished so far? They've got a 2.5-game lead now in the American League East. Where do you weigh in on their chances to win that division this year?
Well, I think it's actually the Yankee game is not over yet, right? So the Yankees are going to win. It'll be a 2-game lead. So let's not give them a little bit anything extra than they deserve right now. I think that really this is obviously what management in Toronto was looking for last year when they made the trade with the Marlins. I think the key to me, you look at it, is Burley is pitching well. Dickey is starting to pitch very well. And they're getting the hitting because, that's a very tough lineup up and down. Even last year when they were having their problems physically, I still saw them a lot. I saw them at Yankee Stadium, saw them on the road, and I thought they were a formative team to come into the ballpark every day to beat. They could disrupt anybody. And now, the way that the AL East is shaping up with the Red Sox, I think the Red Sox are now 9.5 games out. Which is a long haul for anybody to come back in that division with 4 teams ahead of them. So I think they're pretty well positioned as we're heading into Memorial Day in the States.
You mentioned the Red Sox. What are the big couple of problems as you see it for what's going on with them right now?
Well, I watched them a lot in April. I saw the 7 games they played against the Yankees. And the thing that impressed me the most about the change in this year to last year is that, you took Ellsbury and Drew and Soltomaki out of that lineup, and that was how strong they were up the middle. You moved Bogarts over to short. You had a dearth of third baseman. And really, I thought their worst mistake was just not signing Drew to a multi-year deal in the offseason. They just never seemed to put any sort of prize or price on shortstops there. They've had a million of them over the course of the last decade, even though they've won a couple of World Series. But I thought Bogarts, Drew, Ellsbury last year were very strong for them in the World Series against the Cardinals. And the when they had Russ behind the plate, who can't catch every day because he doesn't have the offense, that's their best defensive setup. A.J. Przinsky hasn't been a good fit, was never a good fit. And then you look at the their staff, and their Lester, Buchholz, all these guys are not pitching the way they were a year ago. So it's a tough thing to repeat anyway. It's why it doesn't happen very much anymore. And the Red Sox going from they might be a worst to first to worst this year, considering the way things are going right now for them.
Yeah, that's a fair point. We're chatting with Barry Bloom from MLB.com. Go ahead and check out his work there. Elsewhere in the National League, the Brewers continue to hold it down in the NL Central. as St. Louis playing some pretty good ball right now, but Cincinnati and Pittsburgh still struggling, nowhere near where they were last year, Barry. Can Milwaukee legitimately compete for a division title, but let's say in late August still?
Yeah, I think they've got the pitching to legitimately compete as long as they stay healthy. When you added Garza, you've got Giardo, you've got a really tough first three. Kyle Loesch has pitched very well for them. They straightened out their bullpen. Braun is back, and when he's healthy, he's playing very well. And as you pointed out, even though St. Louis is starting to play better, there have been changes in each of these teams. Pittsburgh really didn't go out. They lost A.J. Burnett. They didn't go out and really, make that team any better in the offseason. And now they're feeling it. I saw them at Yankee Stadium last weekend, and they looked terrible. The Reds also, they don't have the same center fielder, Choi out in center fielder. They don't have Arroyo back for the rotation. Latos has been out the whole year. Chapman, they just got back. Amato is now on the disabled list. Bruce was. I thought they unfairly blamed the fact that they didn't make it past the wild card game last year on Dusty Baker. I mean, I thought Dusty Baker is a professional manager. He did a really good job with that team. And I think Brian Price ultimately has a chance to be a good manager. But it's really tough for pitching coaches to adjust to that role, like Farrell did last year with the Red Sox.
Chatting with Barry Bloom from MLB.com. Barry, the Rockies are 5 games over 500 right now. Maybe a surprise to some. The guy leading the way, obviously, is shortstop Troy Tulowitzki, leading the NL in batting at .382, right up there in home runs as well with 14. He's within earshot as well in the RBI race, so a Triple Crown candidate. He's always been a good shortstop, but this has got to be one of the stories of the year so far.
Well, I've seen them a lot, and I thought it was a big blow for them losing Arenado to a broken finger. Arenado and Tulowitzki are the best left side of the infield in baseball right now. It's hands down. I mean, with Tulowitzki healthy, the two of them cover more ground. Arenado might be the most agile and mobile third baseman I've seen in a long time. Plus, he had a 28-game hitting streak earlier in the year, and he was really starting to come into his own offensively. And like you said, Tulowitzki is out of his mind right now. But here's the thing. The last few years, you get to this time of the year, and into June is where Tulowitzki gets hurt. And so he's got to stay healthy for that team to continue to keep going. And also, you got to note that, their starting pitching is a lot better than it has been in recent years, too. And that's one of the reasons why they've been able to, pick up the slack in that division where, the Dodgers have pretty much played very mediocre ball.
Looking at, final question for you here, Barry. Looking at the year so far for Ian Kinsler, who's off to a great start with the Tigers, hitting well over 300. How do you look back and assess that off-season trade between the Tigers and the Rangers with Prince Fielder involved?
Well, I mean, I ran into one of my friends here is a scout for the Tigers the other day, and I just was joking with him. Boy, did you guys get into the fielder at the right time? There is no assessment of that deal. I mean, Kinsler could walk around on one leg for the rest of the year and hit 260. The Tigers are going to get the better of that deal just by the subtraction of the fact that they're not paying off the rest of that contract to Fielder, and who knows if and when he's even going to come back. And Fielder reminds me a lot of Mo Vaughn at the latter stages of his career.
Yep.
He was overweight. Once you got to a certain age, body started breaking down. Around 30 seems to be the time with those guys. And I think that's why when the Tigers looked at it, they thought it was the right time to get rid of Fielder, and they made the right move. They got a good player for him. If I'm John Daniels down in Texas, and Nolan Ryan, had he still been there, I don't think he would have let Daniels make that move. But without Ryan there and him out, Daniels is in control of baseball operations. And now the Rangers are on the hook for the rest of that deal, and that's a lot of money, even if you have it insured, to pay the guy off if he never comes back.
Yep, no, it's a fair point. It's one of those trades people are going to point to in maybe the turning of the franchises. He is Barry Bloom. MLB.com is the website. He's got an ML blog there, as they like to call it as well. Check out twitter.com/boomski as well. Thanks so much for your time, Barry. Appreciate it.
Thanks. It's always fun to be on. And go Rangers, buddy.
Hey, all right. Fair enough. That's Barry Bloom taking a parting shot. That's fair. It is Game Points here on TSN 690. Go Rangers. How about that, huh? Well, we're about, what do we say here, 43 minutes away from the Irish Embassy Habs pregame show, live from MSG, live from the Bell Center, where 20,000 fans will watch it on the Jumbotron. That's coming up. We'll talk a lot of hockey between 5:30 and 6, including with Joe Yerdon from prohockeytalk.nbcsports.com. But up next, we'll give you an update on baseball and Montreal. What? Yeah, that's right. That's next.